Welcome back to the Relationship Whisperer Show with Miss Dragonfly, where we discuss all things relationships with the aim to make marriage great again. Now, I have to say to our listeners, excuse me for today. I do have a bit of a cold on, so that's why my voice is a bit different today. But I'll try and do my best to get through it. And all right, today we have again a show which will consist of an astrology reading on a celebrity, and then we will go on to talking about relationship issues. Now, a reminder that the astrology that I do is Taoist astrology and not the Western one that most people are familiar with, such as the signs of Aquarius, Leo, Libra, and so forth and so forth. So it is Taoist astrology, which most people are familiar with it being called Chinese astrology. However, it does come from Taoism, and therefore rightly it should be called Taoist astrology. Okay, so the last times I think I previously discussed Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, a couple that has had two goes at it and still split up. So today I thought I'll have a look at another celebrity couple who has seemingly had it all going for them. Looks, children, money, and it seems like they had the world at their feet. But then they got divorced. So we'll have a look at the reasons why they did so and whether or not they were that compatible to begin with. Whether or not it was like a benefit or this was something different. And today's couple that we are going to be looking at is Gisele Bundchen, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, and Tom Brady, who are now permanently exes. They were married for quite a long time and now they are divorced. And I guess to a lot of people at that time, it seemed like to be, it was quite a shock. I mean, they seemingly had everything going for them. I mean, they were both good-looking people. I mean, she was a supermodel and possibly the only well-known one in the 2000s. And I think at one point it was estimated that her wealth was like $1 billion. Not from modeling alone, but she had a lot of other business deals and so forth. And so she was really able to leverage herself from her looks. I mean, once upon a time, in the old days, the only way you made money out of your looks for a woman was prostitution, and then later as being a model, and that was all you earned. But I guess she took it a step even further in that not just fees from modeling itself, but she was able to make deals, being brand ambassador or this label, that label, and so forth, promoting this product. And I guess she was business savvy in that instead of just getting paid a fee, so to speak, she was able to leverage of it by getting a cut of things, whether or not she actually got a percentage of the business or a percentage of the sales and ongoing residuals. It's kind of like a deal here, a deal there, and it all builds up and compounds and so forth. Then you can end up with a lot of money, adding one on top of the other. And so, yes, she is the lady we are going to be looking at. And also, her relationship with her now ex-husband, Tom Brady. So, okay, she is who we will be looking at today predominantly. Now, Gisele, supermodel, world famous, absolutely gorgeous woman, and now divorced. However, she's still in an extremely good position compared to so many other divorced women in that she has actually made money in her own right. She was a wealthy woman even before she married, so she came out of it in terms of financially, no problem. I guess the only was just emotional hurt that she went through. Now, with her, she was born, we're looking at a chart. She was born in 1980 in July the 20th, and that was at 4:17 p.m. in Brazil. So from that, we formulated her chart and her 4 pillars chart. And her year, she is a yang metal monkey. Her month is a yin water goat. Her day pillar is yang wood horse. And her hour pillar is yang water monkey again. So it looks like she's got 2 monkeys and metal and water, both yang and yin water. And in amongst that, she does have a horse and goat. Looking at that, it looks like she does have a horse and goat combination. It is what we call a 6 harmony combination. So that does produce fire, though not as strongly as, say, a seasonal combination. So in her chart, it looks like, trying to look at it, bit of fire there, metal and water. So we can say the fire is actually a bit more prominent there, being that it is from a combination. So we can say it's more like a slight output chart because of the horse and the goat combination. However, I would say she can be a changing chart, so to speak, because that combination and that effect is actually rather weak. So she is an output, but not a actually definite output, because if anything else comes along, then it could and combines with other stuff, and then her chart would change. Her dynamics would change. And so what do we say about changing charts? People with changing charts. We say that they usually are or should go into the entertainment sphere, like particularly acting, because being an actor, you actually have to be able to take on another persona, a change according to the roles that you're in. And kind of like being an entertainer, well, you're there to make people happy, entertain people, no matter how miserable you might be feeling personally yourself. And what about modeling? Yes, modeling, yeah, they model all sorts of different clothes, I guess, in different situations and so forth. And in the fact that, yes, it is a kind of a bit of a different persona, probably not as much as being an actor would, but there's an element of it still there, because they're always dressed up as, let's say, different looks, so to speak, and doing the runways and different seasons. And so they kind of like have to be adaptable to changing trends and so forth, and be willing to have people model them up or style them to something else all the time. So that kind of like fits in with her chart as well. Obviously, though, you have to have the right genetics. Unlike in acting, it is to a certain extent, but there's always certain roles. Even if someone has, say, dwarfism or extremely tall, or someone overweight or something, you can just think of actors like De Niro or Danny DeVito and so forth. There's always some sort of role for them. Whereas modeling is actually quite specific. You have to have very clear skin, good proportions, and certain height requirements and figure requirements, and and have certainly the right look for it as well. I guess how photogenic are you? Some people, they might look absolutely fantastic outside, but for some reason it just does not translate onto camera. And some people that don't look particularly nice outside, well, they photograph so well. And I guess those people end up being photographic models rather than so much runway models. But then again, if you see the types of models that are doing the runways, and I guess particularly the expressions on their faces, you'll probably think, yeah, probably height and thinness is the only requirement necessary for them. But anyway, she has done extremely well, being world famous model, so to speak. So let's have a look at her career, what she's done. So It all started, I guess, way back in 1995, where she moved to Sao Paulo to launch her modeling career. And having a look at that time, she was in the yin metal luck cycle, and 1995 was a pig year. So what does the pig do? The pig combines with the goat as well. It forms a half combination of wood. And so this is the thing what I said, her chart would change because she's just so weak output that it can change when there's another combination that comes out. So she'll be dominant. Because she's young wood and this is another wood combination, she's become dominant wood in that year. Now, 1996, that was a rat year, and then she debuted in New York Fashion Week. Okay, so the rat then would have combined with both of her monkeys, and that is a half combination of water. So then she's changed to being resource chart. Changed again. Now, year 1997 to the year 2000, that's when her career beginnings, it started to really take off. And because that time, 1997 was an ox, 2000 was a dragon, and that period was during the snake luck cycle. Okay? And the snake, what did the snake luck cycle do? Well, the snake combined with a horse and a goat to form what we call a seasonal fire combination, summer, so to speak. And that is the strongest fire. So then she was definitely locked into a pattern during that time. She was output. And output is creative, being creative. So that's when it was I guess they had formed some stability for her. She was an output, and that's when her career really took off. She fronted Vogue covers, on the cover of Vogue magazines. She walked the runway for Marc Jacobs, Michael Kors, Dolce & Gabbana, Dior, Valentino, you name it, all those luxury fashion houses. And in 1999, she actually was named the Vogue Model of the Year. So there you go. Lots of things happened for her during that period. Her career really took off. And in the year 2000, she was named as the most beautiful girl in the world. Okay, and Vogue called her the world's hottest model, a Brazilian bombshell. Though her background is actually German. Though if you look at it at her appearance and also the surname, it's really much a German. She is German ethnicity. Now, the next part in the year 2000 to 2009, she changed again. Okay. And that became Yang. She was in the Yang metal luck cycle this time. And then that was a lot of metal, so she then became Follow Power. And that's when her she had modeling breakthrough, her international success, and she debuted in acting as well. She had some small parts. I think she was in The Devil Wears Prada, though I think not as a model. She was actually her role was as some assistant or something. And I think she actually put it in that she didn't want to play the role of a model because I guess you've been doing it all the time out there. You don't want to have to go and act as a model as well. So I can thoroughly understand why she wanted not to be a model in the movie. She wanted to act as something else. Next, in the year 2009 to 2011, she had continued success. And in that time, she had the dragon luck cycle. So the dragon then combined with her monkey and became water. So she changed back to resources. And then 2012 to now, she's done music modeling campaigns, music endeavors. And that was, during the rabbit luck cycle. So now the rabbit luck cycle, like the pig, it combined with the wood and to form a half wood combination. And then so she became dominant wood again. Now, what about her love life? Okay. Well, in the year 2000 to 2005, she was with Leonardo DiCaprio. And that was in a young metal luck cycle. Okay. And it was right that they actually did break up because young metal for her would be improper power and therefore he would have been an improper spouse. So I'm not surprised at all that she broke up with him after the period finished. Now, and then after Leonardo, 2006, it was the dog year, 2006. Now, and that was when she met Tom Brady. Now, the dog combines with the horse, which is her house of spouse. And there you go. She was able to meet a spouse or, a significant other. In this case, it became a very significant because he became her first husband. Only husband so far. And in 2009, during the ox year, and in a dragon luck cycle, they married. Okay? And in 2022, they eventually divorced. And what year was 2022? That was a tiger year. Now, the tiger combines with a horse. And normally when that appears, if you're single, there's a chance to meet someone significant. However, if you're already married, then it's a chance that you can divorce, which they did. So that is Gisele. So what about Tom, her now ex-husband? Tom Brady. He is a American football star. Now, see who has since retired. Well, he is in his 40s now. And his birthday, he was born at 10:33 a.m. on the 3rd of August, 1977. So that makes him a yin fire snake on the year, yin fire goat on the month. The goat, same as Gisele, a goat, and yang water dragon on the day and yin wood snake on the hour. So what does that mean for him? Well, looking at it, there's absolutely no combinations there, so we will call him an absolutely a changing chart. Okay, so he can change with whatever luck cycle he encounters or whatever year or even whatever month. So someone like that, like I was saying, not only the best occupations for them normally would be is an acting, but also people like that are more fickle because they're not locked into a certain pattern, so they can change a lot. And he has been a extremely successful footballer in the US. I mean, throughout, he started in high school footballing and then college footballing, and then he turned professional. So 2000 and, where are we saying? In the year 2000, in the dragon luck cycle, in dragon year, and that was a snake luck cycle. He's got two of them as well on his chart, the dragon and the snake, and that was his rookie season. Okay, and then in 2003 was a goat year, and 2004 was a monkey year. He had back-to-back Super Bowl wins. So he does have the goat on his month. Now, the month also represents your career, as well as your business. And the monkey there, it combines with his snake there to produce a half metal combination, his snakes. So, and that time he would have had resources. So he had the support because his young water had support from the metal that's generated from the monkey and snake combination. Now, in 2006, that was a dog year. And that actually clashed with his dragon, which governs his house of spouse. Now, and that's when he met Gisele. So you might be thinking, well, it's not a combination, it's a clash. So how could you meet someone? And yes, it does work as long as the house of spouse gets activated, either through combination or clash, something is going to happen in your love life. And because he was single back then, he met someone. Okay, he met Gisele. Now, 2007 was a pig year. It combined it with the goat. So he had wood. Then he became something else. He became an output person. And he had a perfect regular season. 2008, though, was the rat year. And that was an injury for him. That was pretty much an injury year. So not that good. Combination with the dragon, and that produced water. So that was the same as his day pillar, which is yang water. So obviously he doesn't really like water. Being, I guess to him, that was the competition. Now, 2009 was an ox year, and he returned from injury with the ox year, 2009. And yeah, and the oxen, combined with his snakes to produce metal again, and therefore it was resources. So that actually gave him support. So it looks like he really likes metal and doesn't like water, because water was competition for his chart. 2010 in the tiger year, he got most valuable player status. 2010 tiger year, and then in 2022 he announced his retirement, and then which was the tiger year, and then he returned again to play. And that tiger year in 2022 created what we call a seasonal wood combination, because that year, the tiger year, he was already in his rabbit luck cycle, and there's he's got a dragon, so the whole sequence there, we call it a seasonal wood combination. You need all three for it to work, because it's a full season, it's a set. Although if missing one, you don't get it. And so then he became output. So that locked him into an actual combination. So that was good. However, what wasn't so good, I guess, because it was he also divorced from Gisele that year. Now, you're thinking it didn't have much to do with his spouse palace. Why did he get divorced? Well, it doesn't need to happen on your personal. If it happens on your spouse's chart, then the divorce can still happen. Okay? But from the looks of it, it's probably came from her side, that she initiated, or she set down the terms, from what we kind of like here. We don't know if it's true or not, but through the grapevine and through gossip, it's saying that she did not want him to go back and play again, but he did anyway, so she divorced him. So whether or not she threw down an ultimatum and says, if you go back, I'm going to divorce you, that's it. And either he called her bluff or he did not care. We really don't know, because we don't know what actually goes on behind the scenes. And then I don't know why he bothered, because then the following year, 2003, he retired for good. And then he's still retired. And 2003, what was it? It was a rabbit year. And so the rabbit combined with his goat again, and it became a wood combination, a partial wood combination. So there you go. Tom Brady and Gisele, that's why they got divorced. but looking at their charts, they do have some combinations together. That's why they work together. He has the snakes, and he has snake on his hour and his year, and Gisele has a monkey on her hour and her a year. So they both then combined, and that produced metal. And as we saw through Tom's chart and what he's achieved, he does very well when he's got metal. So combining with her, he got metal. And I guess those were the combinations, and that's why they ended up to go together, and they got married at that time. Well, yeah. And both their houses of spouse got activated at the same time they met each other. It fits. Okay? And I guess after that period where there's a clash then, and then they broke apart. And I guess maybe he thinks, he's no longer playing, then he doesn't need her anymore, or need the help from her anymore, or the influence in this case, the combinations that she was able to give him, which was the metal, and gave him a certain level of stability because he's a completely changing chart. She brings in her 2 monkeys to combine with his 2 snakes. He's got some sort of stability there. Okay, and it's the one he favored as well. It's the metal. He seems to like whenever he's gotten the metal. Okay, so that is that couple, Gisele and Tom Brady. In a way, look, they're okay for each other, but they're not the best possible matches for each other. I have to say they don't have that matching, have that much linked with each other. And what we tend to look for is the more combinations a couple has, the greater the attraction, and the more they're linked. It's much harder to break it apart if they've got those combinations together. So many combinations. It's like you've got a big knot, and you're trying to undo it. You can undo a couple, but trying to undo all of it is not as easy as someone with just like one knot, or a couple with just one knot or 2 knots. Easy unpickings, but a whole bunch of knots, it's unlikely you'll be able to unpick all of them at the same time. Unless it's a chart where there's something that's absolutely crucial that forms part of so many of their combinations. So if that gets clashed, then it breaks apart. It's kind of like something is all held together by one little pin. You can try to knock it this way and that, it doesn't. But if you manage to unplug that pin, then the whole thing falls apart by that one pin. And so that's how some couples that seemingly so interknit get blown apart. Okay? So in effect, with this, we can't really say Gisele or Tom Brady there is guilty of anything. I say it's anyone's fault. I wouldn't say it. It's just kind of like they've had their time together, and unfortunately, that's the way it is. Sometimes people, after they've had what they needed from the other person in stages of their life, they're done with that person. It's either consciously or unconsciously, or in this cases, some cases astrologically wise, and that's why these things happen. So that's Gisele and Tom in a nutshell. Now, making marriage great means making marriage great for everyone. And even though women seem to be more into marriage than men, marriage requires both sides. And unfortunately, at the moment, men are not that into marriage, not so much. And in a way, you cannot blame them seemingly, because they tend to get the bottom end of the stick, the short straw, so to speak, when divorces happen. And divorce is extremely high. The divorce rate is like 50% in the Western world. It's far, far too high. So obviously, people are doing something wrong. But maybe not so much people are doing something wrong in that they're actually not being given the right advice. You see, all the advice you keep hearing outside keeps seemingly repeating the exact same thing over again. Just try to make compromises and be more understanding and so forth and so forth. And that's a general advice. But, I had a look around and it seems like there really hasn't been much around there for men in terms of specific advice for men, which is very sad. I mean, I look around and the only either substantial, right, serious advice out there comes from more like Christian pastors and priests and so forth. And that actually gets off-putting to some people. And then the other thing that get available to them is people teaching them to how to hook up with women and just get as much as you can with them and then just take off, so to speak. Use them and lose them, so to speak. And or how to pick up women. And so that's really all there is out there for men. And they're terribly underserviced as it is. And it is a sad situation and it should not be that situation. They should also get as much information as possible and advice as possible because they are the other half of a marriage. And rightly so, and if you want them to marriage, then the advice has to be out there for men. Okay? And with that, so today I am going to be giving out specific advice for men. Okay, starting with, all right, men. There's lots of people out there, lots of, I know about the MGTOW movement, about anyone that doesn't know, it's short for men going their own way. And a lot of it is basically older men that have been through it before, and quite often very messy divorces that are telling then the younger ones, hey, look, believe me, I've been there and done that. It's not worth it. Stay away from them. That sort of thing. And they hear that sort of thing, and what do? Or they go with people that are considered like alpha males, like Andrew Tate, who is very well known in the social media sphere. I understand he is something like a former kickboxer who's now very rich, and he gives advice to men about love them. When say love them and leave them, use them and leave them kind of spin. And basically, that's not actually conducive to a relationship either, because they're teaching all men. And then again, women are toxic. They take and they never give. You don't get anything out of a marriage other than heartache and losing all your money and your kids as well. So don't go there. And so this is the stuff that's all out there. And I guess here I'm giving out advice to encouraging people to marriage. And as you can imagine, I have lots of criticism and gotten a lot of flack from that side of the spear about saying that, they said this is just a lost cause, there's nothing in it for men. Well, yeah, I'm persisting and I'm giving advice strictly for men. Well, I wouldn't say strictly, specifically for men, is because they haven't they've been thoroughly so underserviced with regarding relationship, and they haven't actually been taught and given proper relationship advice. I guess even women haven't, but I guess it's specifically men even more so than women. So this is my take, and this is my advice specific to men. And I will tell men, I'm telling men, why they are going to be more successful with the right wife. I'm not saying all marriages are going to give you benefits. Not everyone you hook up with will, because obviously not everyone's going to be compatible with you for a start. And not everyone has the same mindset, because there are specific things in what I call a true marriage that a hookup would not have. And a true marriage is one where both partners know that this is a partnership for life. And so when you are in a partnership, it's always going to help you more than being on your own. Okay? So the advice I'm going to give here is basically, if you've chosen the right wife, or you can have all this. And it's a matter of choosing the right person to begin with. All comes to everything, how your marriage turns out, and then all how your life turns out will depend on who you choose to marry, who you choose to be your life partner. So this one decision sets the tone for everything else. Very, extremely difficult to fix afterwards, because it's very difficult to change people. So you need to thoroughly choose correctly in the first place. Okay? And so, I'm going to go through this. And this is, remember, this is why you'll be more successful if you've chosen correctly. Because, really, some men, especially the successful ones, think that they're already doing well on their own. So they don't need a wife to help, and might even get in the way of their business or their career. So with that in mind, many want a casual relationships just for physical purposes. However, what they don't think is that they can be even more successful with the right wife who can provide them both emotional support and also support work-wise. You see, a supportive wife can provide motivation and encouragement. She can serve as a source of motivation in helping you to stay focused and be motivated in pursuing your careers and your goals, basically. And this can be especially important for men who often do feel pressure to succeed and may struggle with self-doubt, being a bit of not lacking some self-confidence, so to speak. And so a supportive wife can provide emotional and psychological support. She can provide you with a safe space for you to confide in and receive emotional support. And she can also provide practical support in addition to the emotional, in that she can help you to achieve your goals. So this can include things like helping with household chores and childcare responsibilities, and managing all the household to allow you to be able to be free to focus entirely on your work and your career. It's it's so important, and it's so valuable, to know that someone else is handling everything else. So you don't have to worry about all that. You can just focus on your career and your work, So the right wife can help you become successful more quickly, or if you're already doing well, then enable you to become even more successful. So perhaps an easier way to explain this is I use the caveman analogy. You see, back in the Stone Age, survival depended on how well a man can hunt, and it was mostly men that did the hunting because of the physical nature of hunting. And the more successful a man was at hunting, the more food was available and the more he could support a family. Now, during winter, there is less game available to hunt, and conditions make it more difficult. Therefore, it was best to preserve enough meat to make sure you got through the leaner times, such as winter. And as you can only do one thing at a time, this means that as a hunter, you needed to take time off from hunting to do the skinning and the preserving. So then you're going to have less time to do all the hunting, and so you're going to bring in less game, simply because you're going to have to stop hunting, doing the skinning and preserving. So while you're doing that, you're not able to go do your hunting. So what you need is not a second hunter, but you need someone to be there doing the skinning and the preserving. And so with someone doing that, then you can devote all your time to hunting. And not only are you going to be a better hunter as well and be able to bring more game, the more you go at it, the better you become and the more you're able to bring in. Okay, and then there's more abundance. And then the more you bring in, of course, the more she's got to be able to preserve. Okay, and then you have stored stored food supply. You don't have to worry about going hungry, even if there happens to be what do you call a drought or something for a long time. You're fine. Now, this analogy is the same as in modern life. Just think about it. You go to work. And because you're on your own, you have to try to find the time to handle the finances as well as everything else. And as you can only spare a small amount of time to do this, this means you're not going to be able to look after your finances very well. And in addition, your focus is going to be divided between your work or your job and having to look after everything else in your life. So, and with people nowadays, there's so much that you have to look after. Your car regos due, your car insurance, house insurance, or whatever, lodging your tax returns in time, looking after your super or 401ks, if the US, your retirement savings, or mortgage rates, or if there happens to be an accident or a car accident, sort that out. Or what if issues with the plumbing or the electrical? Organize a tradesman to go in and do it if you can't do it yourself. But if you try to do it yourself, then you have to find the time to do it as well. So, which also means you won't have the time to go research and look into investments as to how to grow your money. But however, if you had a life partner, a wife, so to speak, her job then would be to handle all the finances and all the admin and make the money that you bring in stretch as far as she can. And if she's more capable, then be able to grow the money by making good investments. So think the analogy here with the Stone Age. You brought all the meat in. Your mate then would be able to cut out some of the meat you brought in, use it as bait, go and use it as bait and fish, and bring in more. And so she's actually grown your supply, your available meat supply and food supply from what you've given in. So she's actually grown it. Now, you do not need another hunter, as I say, but something to do the skinning and preserving, hopefully be able to grow the food supply. And in modern times, you don't need her to bring in another income, but to manage the money. And hopefully to be able to grow it if she was more capable. And this is a trait you need to look for and know how to identify that trait, which I will talk about in a later show. And you only need another hunter, though, if game becomes scarce. So you need another hunter in order to be able to cover more terrain. So the analogy, how it's reflected in modern times, is that you only need your partner to work and bring in another income if conditions are that your income alone isn't enough to make ends meet, which unfortunately is most often the case now because of inflation and in this economic environment, and because we've had the feminist movement pushing people to work, pushing women to work. So it's changed from women can work if they want to now they have to work because one income is no longer enough. And it's sad that it's no longer enough, that we have to work, both partners have to work, but that's the way it's now become. And unfortunately, both partners will have to work and somehow they're going to have to manage both of them or them. Help with all the chores in the house. So, but I guess normally you'd have one person bring in a bigger income than the other partner, even if both partners work. So the one that's bringing in less income can have a bit more time or have a less pressure job, has put more of their time into looking after the admin. But they need to know that that job has to be done, managing the finances, whether you like it or not. So, and that job would be the person that's earning less of the money at the moment, or a person with a less high pressure job at the moment that would be doing that. So it makes more economic sense. And if you're trying, and remember, you're trying to achieve the best outcome for yourself as a couple. Okay? So in conclusion, having the right wife can greatly contribute to a man's success in both their personal and professional lives. So she can provide emotional, psychological support, physical support, motivation, and encouragement. And so all these factors would lead to increased productivity and job satisfaction and overall for men. Now, I know you're going to say that, I haven't met a woman that's like that. Well, did you actually go and look for one like that? Remember, you actually have to look for that trait in the beginning. You have to move away from just picking someone you like to actually thinking about what you need. This is the thing. We all do. We're all guilty of this. For everything else, we think about what we need first and then go to buy that. You might think, it's going to be cold soon. I'm going to need a coat for work. It's going to have to fit in with this, and this. Have to be this length to look professional and so forth. Obviously, it would need to be this type of fabric. I could be allergic to wool, or I don't like synthetics. It needs to be this or that, and needs to fit me. And so you go and look for one that would fit properly and look right, rather than picking something off the rack that just because it looks good and you like the look of it, but it doesn't serve your purpose. Same thing with a car, men. Before you buy a car, you think about what you need though first, don't you? If you're going to want to go off bushwalking or drive around through the mountains and so forth, you're not going to go pick a sports car just because it looks good and it appeals to you. You're going to need a 4-wheel drive because you're going to think of the terrain. It's got to be this size, have that capacity, how many passengers you think you're going to be driving with you, as to how big a car you need and how much gear you're going to carry. Then you go look for that car. Why do we do it with everything else except the one thing that is the most important decision of our lives, and that is who we're going to choose for our life partner, because that can make or break you. Okay? That one decision of our life. And don't think about trying to change that person off of it, because you can't change people. Think about yourself. Someone asks you to change. How can you do it? You might say yes. You might wholeheartedly want to commit and say change. But because it's not in your nature, and it doesn't come naturally to you, you're going to have to keep remembering to do it. And obviously, you're going to forget. And when you forget, you don't do it. So it gets undone. And before men go saying, it's just so hard, I'll just be on my own, rather than getting a bad one. It's correct in that you're better off on your own than with the wrong partner. However, nothing's going to beat being with the right partner. Because imagine if someone's sharing a life with you, they're going to have a vested interest in this life with you. And so they're going to want you to do well because you're in the same boat. Your partner's going to benefit if you do well. And remember, and you think, I know some men would say, my ex-wife never thought of wanting the best for me and so forth, because she was not committed. Okay, she did not understand that this is working together and that she is basically joined to you. This is a life you're sharing together. This is the thing, attitude that you have to pick for as well. That they understand that what you do affects the other. So you want your partner to do well and support your partner to do well. And this is the thing, how different it is from, say, people, men would say, I've got friends, I've got families for support, I don't need a partner. But they're not sharing a life with you. They're not in the same boat. They are not going to be affected as much whether or not you do well. Okay, look, your family, take the best case scenario, your family. They might want the best thing for you, but they're not sharing your life with you. They've got their own family they've got to look after as well. With siblings and your parents, they may not understand and they're not sharing a life with you. They might mean well, but in effect, you can't expect them to work for you and do things with you as well as a partner would. And you're not living with them. So day to day, they're not going to understand. And your friends, no. I mean, they might catch up and so forth, might be a bit of a tip, but they're not going to go out of your way for you. Okay? I'll give a little example. Some maybe 15 years ago or so forth, the gold price dropped sharply overnight. And you saw videos of hordes of people in China especially rushing to buy gold. Okay. But this is one thing. If you look carefully at the videos, they were basically all women. Why? Because the men were all out at work. They're busy at work. And it was up to her. She has to be on it. And go in the crowd to muster and try to get all that gold because, that benefits her family, which is also you, providing for the family. So you don't have time to be on all this, keeping track of all these things happening. So you're going to miss out. And not only that, because you're stuck in your job or whatever, you don't have time to go and queue up and buy. Now, the thing is, would your friend, such good friends, would any of them go and line up for you to buy, even if you gave them the money, spend the whole day in a queue? The most that you can hope for is if they're already buying for themselves, happen to buy from themselves, then they might buy for you as well while they're at it. They go, but they may not be ringing you up and telling you hey, do you want me to buy this for you? I'll line up and buy it for you. That might not happen. So if you have that good a friend and they happen to also be there doing it for themselves, then maybe you can. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. So this is the advantage that you will have over a single guy, is that you've got someone else to watch your back, so to speak. Now, making marriage great also needs men on board. And for men, a very, very important part, basically a crucial part of how you can make your marriage great, is choosing the right wife in the first place. And I've said it many times, and you're probably wondering, well, what do I look for? Okay, so here I'm going to address the issue, what traits you need to look for when choosing a wife, gentlemen. And it's very important to consider because while there's no perfect spouse, so to speak, there are certain traits that can contribute to a healthy and fulfilling relationship. And unfortunately, men usually don't consider what traits they need when choosing their permanent partner. And like everyone else, they just usually choose whoever they're attracted to, whoever they like, so to speak. And when they're asked, the common things that they say they want is someone affectionate, intelligent, ambitious, athletic, cultured, loves to camp, has a great body, loves to travel, is a great cook, lives a healthy lifestyle, has perfect teeth, and a great sense of humor. Sounds familiar? Yeah? Heard of all that before, or at least some of them before. And like most people, men say what they want, but they usually don't know what they actually need. It's kind of like people want hamburgers, chips, and pizza. even though they, at the back of their minds, they know that's bad for them. But what they really need is a kale salad. Boring kale salad. But it doesn't have to be boring. So, what traits do men need in a partner? Well, like everything else, you need someone suitable for the job. That's the first thing to consider. You know, like if you have a position available, then you think about the requirements for the position. Then look for the candidate with the skills that can perform and able to do the tasks of that position, right? It's everyone recruiting an employee or something would consider that, especially for their business, because if that employee doesn't work out, can't do that, it affects your business. But the wrong wife that cannot do the task you need her to do, it affects your life. So this is so important. And so that's why, firstly, think about what you need a wife for. Is it to go through life with you with all its trials and tribulations, or just to be a pretty decoration? Now, this is very important, a very important consideration, as then it's going to tell you what you need in a wife. Look, if you just want a pretty decoration to admire, then there's only one trait that you need, and that's looks. Okay, and this is why you see a lot of wealthy men with beautiful young wives. I mean, just think the late Howard Marshall and Anna Nicole Smith, Jim Clark and Christy Hines, Francis Henry Pinot and Salma Hayek. They have everything they need and the money to hire people to do all the things that they need, so they just want some company, and like all of us, want pretty looking things. However, most men don't have the luxury of being able to hire people for everything that you need done. So that's why your wife needs to be able to do at least some of the tasks, as you can only be one place at a time. Remember that. And do one thing at a time as well. So remember, if you choose them for their looks alone, then don't expect them to have any other quality or skills, because you did not check for them. You did not choose for them. So don't be disappointed when there isn't any. And so that also means that you can't expect her to do anything else other than look pretty. Fair enough? So what happens then if your partner has no skills? Specifically, no life skills. I don't know, singing and dancing forever or something, that's all good and well, but how does that help you in your life? Other than unless you want to spend every day listening to them singing or dancing. Okay? Because if you are the one who ends up having to do everything in the relationship, like earn money, come home and cook, and do all the house cleaning as well, and make sure you pay all the bills on time, feed the dog if you've got any, do the laundry, help the kids with their homework if you have kids, and then you get to spend any time you have left admiring your wife's looks. So how does that sound to you? Or would you rather have someone be able to take and deal with some of the tasks, ideally at least half, as that would make you go from being overstretched to able to comfortably deal with the tasks left to you? And if you have a partner in life, then this would be the case. So what are the qualities then that you would need in a wife, which is essentially a life partner? And the qualities you are going to need are, firstly, is she good with money? I know this is the dreaded M word again, and it seems to be like a social no-no or pariah, some dirty M word, money. But we need to deal with it because it is the cause of so many arguments and divorces. Believe me, it is a statistic. Because if she is not good with money, Not only will you need to take control of and manage the finances, but there will likely to be little, if any, savings left while you keep working hard to bring the money in. It will be like no matter how much you pour into your pocket, if it's got a hole in it, your pocket is never going to be full. So just like this, if your wife, your life partner has no money skills, no matter how much you earn, there's not going to be any left over. Then how would you feel? And then men complain. But you did not check her first before you married her whether or not she was good with money. Then how can you expect her to be good with money? Yeah? Okay. Then can she cook? Okay, this seems so archaic, like expecting a woman to cook. But if she can't cook, then you're going to have to do it yourself when you come home from work, or accept a life of takeaways and sandwiches. And such a bad diet over the long term is going to undoubtedly affect your health. Okay. I mean, people that sell food are not there to sell nutrition. They're there to sell what tastes good so you can come back and buy more. Remember that. And I think it's really sad now, especially feminists and all these women that listen to all the vitriol and all the sayings from feminists, that you should not cook or do anything, don't be a slave. And it seems that now women take it as almost like a badge of honor that they can't cook, proving their worth because they can't cook. I just don't do these meaningless, valueless things like cooking. I'm worth more than that. More than just a cook. I can do more than that. Well, the reality is someone's got to do it. Okay? If no one does it, who's going to do it? Or it's a life of takeaways, which is over the long term is not good for you. Okay? All right. Next trait. Is she unselfish? You see, when in a marriage, you need to think of others and prioritize others over yourself for at least certain things, be it for a spouse or especially children, as you're not going to be alone, but you're going to be connected with others. So if she is selfish, then she's only going to think of herself. Then how would you feel continually having things only go one way, and that's to her way? And pretty soon, even though you might say you don't mind doing everything in the beginning, especially if she's so beautiful, eventually it's going to wear thin and you are going to mind. So have a think of that. Men complain about, the ex-wife was so selfish and this ex-partner was selfish, that ex-partner was selfish. But you cannot complain if you did not choose her for that. If you did not prioritize and pick her and pick those traits that are important to you and choose your partner for those traits. Okay? All right. Secondly, is she settled in her personality or is she still wild? Now, this is a subject I can elaborate on later. Because if she is restless and still needs to, see the world or find herself, then is she going to be happy settling down in one place? As building a life together means settling down roots in one place, and which is why it's called settling down. Because think of how that would affect the children if their mother is not there for them, but has gone off again on her own to some trip or gathering or some commune on a whim. You are then going to have to take over and mother the children as well. Also, how disruptive is it going to be to their lives and schooling if she continually uproots them to move again and again? Think about that. Next, then, is she a team player? Does what she do help your marriage and family or only herself? Does she willingly do her share of the tasks and support you? Like any team, if you have a team member that just sits back and lets you do all the work, wouldn't you feel resentment? Not only would you be exhausted having to do everything yourself, but also feel a growing resentment building up inside you because you have to do everything yourself, like I said before. Just think about it. Just like, remember in school when you've got these, team projects to do, and there was always some people slacking off, and the others had to fill up the slack and do all the work because they're going to have to carry the marks as well. So, and the ones that slack off, they know they're going to get their share of the mark as well. So why bother? Why put the effort in? That sort of thing. And you look at them and feel absolute resentment. Yeah? Same sort of thing. Lastly, can she earn money? Now, this one seems like being materialistic. Again, the M word. However, in this day and age, unfortunately, you cannot get by with just one income and actually need to, unless one person earns a lot of money, then the other partner does not need to work. However, they still need to be able to do something, manage that money then it all goes down. So she would still need money skills. Because even if you earn enough that she doesn't have to work, okay, this is another thing. What if something happens to you and you can't? Will she be able to step up and earn the money? If not permanently, then enough and able to until you're able to recover and get back onto your feet to continue. So does she have the skills to earn money? That's very important because sometimes she'll need to fill in for you. So overall, it is important to find the right partner and a wife with all those traits, okay, to be compatible, supportive, and loving. And, by considering these traits, you can increase the chances of finding and getting a fulfilling and healthy relationship. And I know a lot of men will think, all the ones I've dated and all my ex and all that have never had these qualities. So therefore, I don't think women have these qualities at all. The thing is, did you actually search for them in the first place? Because if you did not look for them and just grabbed whatever, then you cannot expect it to be there. And I know women with these qualities are fewer than frivolous women. And this is coming from a woman. But they are out there. You have to get out of your mind what woman is suitable for you, and because that's a want, that's not really a need, and really think about it. Forget about looks or background or how tall or short she is or whether or not she's overweight or underweight or so forth, because those things don't matter in the long run. Things like people that are overweight or underweight, that can be fixed, through diet. And it's the right mentality and all that. But all these qualities cannot be really fixed. It's more hardwired to someone. It's whether or not they have it in them or not. It's something that can't be acquired. It's not a trait that you can acquire. It's, being unselfish or being a team player. Look, probably whether or not can cook, you can learn. But it's the attitude, the willingness to learn to cook and be that. And whether or not is she good with money? Can she handle money? Look, the thing is, it's all about attitude. And courses can be attended. That's simple, doing a course in finance, doing a course in taxation or bookkeeping course. Those sorts of things, that can be easily done. It's the mentality and the attitude. As long as she's got that and she's willing to do that, then she can do the course. It's no good putting someone through the courses without that right attitude. Like I know someone that's been a bookkeeper for 30 years, good at her job, being a good bookkeeper, but what does she spend her skills doing? Is to budget to make sure that she's able to go on a certain amount of holidays every year. Okay? So it's not about whether or not they're a bookkeeper or an accountant. They should be good with money. No, it doesn't work that way. It means they can deal with it. But how they direct those finances are different. It all comes down to attitude. And I know plenty of women that have the right attitude but blocked by knowledge, that they can only go so far. So that sort of thing, they can do the courses, no problem. Okay? But the most important is finding the right attitude. So for men, get it out of your mind that what you've always gone for is what's right for you, because look at it this way. You can't keep going back to the same thing and expect a different result. It doesn't happen. Okay? You need to take and consider all these traits in mind. Okay? It could be a bit different for you, but really think about what you need your partner to do in a marriage. First, then go out and find the woman with those traits, with those skills that can do the job of being your wife. Because just think, just like you're an employer and you've got a business and you've got a great employee. They handle everything. They add value to your business even. Maybe even go be above what's expected of them. That employee you're going to love. You're going to value. You're never going to want that employee to leave. Why would you? It's the same, but that only affects your business. The life partner, your wife, is going to affect your life. Totally, the direction of it, how fulfilling it is emotionally and also financially, how well off you are, because unfortunately, finances do play a big part in our happiness because it relieves pressure and stress, and it gives you, because it represents resources, it gives you options to do a lot of things in life. Okay? And now we're coming towards the end of our show. Going back, I've had a look at both Gisele Bundchen and ex-husband now's Tom Brady's chart. Gisele is basically a world-famous supermodel who's really much retired as a supermodel now. Hey, she no longer needs the money, so why continue to do that? I mean, modeling jobs are not always that glamorous, as a lot of models have said. So she's done extremely well throughout her life. She's from Brazil, though of German extraction. Walked runways and being voted most beautiful girl in the world hottest model, Brazilian bombshell. But her chart, you can see now she's pretty much a changing chart, which is also in line with being a model. So it actually pretty much suited her. She did dabble in some acting as well. So it makes sense. I mean, and she was able to convert to that because changing chart people, they tend to change with the flow, I guess. Could be different every year or every year blocks or even every month. And so the changingness suits them in terms of acting, that profession where they've got to assume different personas and that sort of thing, but also in modeling, I guess, they get styled up differently in all the shows or the photo shoots. And also, well, especially now looking at what she's got at the moment, she's in a yin earth luck cycle at the moment, which because she is yang wood is also her indirect wealth. And so with indirect wealth is basically residual income, passive income, which is what she has now. I mean, I don't think she really has a job at the moment or no modeling gig or so forth. So, and she doesn't need it. She's got enough money. And I guess through her investments, she's getting passive income through that and residual income through all the deals that she's made before. Yeah. And her ex-husband, Tom Brady, he has been extremely successful being an American footballer. And he basically has a changing chart, though. When he was with her, the combinations of their chart, it did lock him into a pattern. And the pattern is for him, with the medal, it is basically a resource chart. And then with Gisele, with Tom, she basically follow the power chart when she was him, with him, though naturally she isn't. So, and they met in 2006, which makes sense because with Tom, 2006 was a dog year. And with Tom, it clashed with his dragon in his house of spouse. And any combination or clash in your house of spouse does activate it. So he met Gisele. And with Gisele, that dog year also combined it with her house of spouse, which was the horse. So no surprise that they did go on to marry, even though they did not stay together. Okay, and I guess they got divorced in the tiger year, where it combined with her horse in her house of spouse again. So that would have triggered the divorce. So when you're married, if the house of spouse gets activated, it's not so good news as when you're not married, because then you don't have a partner. Well, the only thing that can happen is you get a partner, and that's good news. So that's the reason why they both really didn't. I guess that's the reason why they got divorced. And I guess for Tom, after that period, I guess after he's finished footballing, he did not need the resources anymore. Resources basically, it's your support, which I guess Gisele was the support for him for all that time. But then, hey, I guess I'm being more cynical here. I guess her career's over. Don't want a career anymore, really. Gonna retire. Don't need her anymore. Sad to say, but people do think that way. And I've gone over and given some advice specifically for men. Like I said, unfortunately for men, there's really nothing out there for men other than men teaching them how to pick up women, stay away from women, or you get those Christian pastures. It's unfortunate, and they've been terribly, terribly underserviced. So I've brought it upon myself to step in and fulfill this gap. And so whether or not how it's going to be received, it's on them. Okay, you're going to be given this advice. Do you want to follow? Do you want the advice or not? Because I'm telling him, pointing out, like I did today, why men are still going to be more successful than being on their own in a marriage. However, the caveat is that it's got to be with the right wife. You have to choose very carefully. And a lot of the times, like everything else and like everyone else, we always go for the things that we want rather than really thinking about what we need. And like I say with the analogy, you might want pizzas, chips, and hamburgers, even though in the back of your mind it's not good for you, but that's what you like. There's this enjoyment. Rather than really think about it and get a cow salad instead, even though it's really good for you, but you don't think you enjoy it as much. But over a long term, once you get a hang of it, and then and your taste buds change and thinking, that's actually really good. And because it serves you good in the long term, you're going to keep eating it. And you can eat it a long time. It's just like with the right person, though. And you really have to think about what you need, okay? You're going to find someone that's going to fulfill the most important job of all in your life, do the most important task, and that is to be your life partner. I cannot emphasize how important this one decision is. It can make or break you, as many men that have gone through really, messy divorces will attest to, picked incorrectly. And you can say that, they were lovely to begin with and so forth, because that's who was in the honeymoon period. And in the honeymoon period, all these niggling little things, you didn't mind and you didn't think that it was such a big deal. But I guess over the long term, these niggling little things are going to catch up with you and then eventually hit you, and then you will mind, and so forth. That's really one of the traits. Like, a lot of men complain that the partners or ex-partner was so selfish, But did you check first that she was unselfish? Think about that first before you went ahead, or men complain that she was terrible with my money, spend it all and so forth. But did you think first and did you check whether or not she was good with money before you married her? If not, then you can't complain. Seriously. If you did not choose for that, you can't complain if they don't have it. I know it's harsh, but that is the reality of all things. Even something you buy, if a car, if you did not check the fuel economy, what type of fuel economy this car has first, then you cannot complain later on if it's really a fuel guzzler sort of car. You didn't really think about could you afford that type of fuel, so to speak. So these traits are very important to look at. Not only is she good with money, can she cook? Because if she doesn't cook, you're going to have to. It was a lifetime of takeaways, being unselfish. Is she settled first because being marriage is settling down, because it's both partners doing this together. So she has to be one with all. Is she a team player? Being a team player, you have to think of the other person. Otherwise, you have to pick up the slack and eventually resentment is going to build up. You're going to mind. You say you're in the beginning, you might be in the honeymoon period and euphoria of love and so forth, and you don't consider and say you don't mind. But eventually reality hits and that euphoria goes away, then all these issues would come up and you will mind. Okay? And also, can she earn the money? Can she pick up the slack if something happens to you? Can she pick up the slack and earn the money just enough to cover things, tie things over at least until you're able to recover and get back on your feet? Because if she can, then you've just had a tremendous advantage over the single guy, which would not have that if something heaven forbid happened to him. You've got the advantage. You've got a great partner that would be the team player and a capable partner as well to be able to do that. And so considering all that, that's why you would be more successful with the right wife. And even if you're currently successful, you can be even more successful with the right wife that able to support you, because at the end of the day, we can only physically be one place at a time and be able to do one thing at a time. And so if you've got someone else able to do that and also, doing it in what you could call it, having your best interests at heart, working together, because how well you do also affects her, how well she does, what she does also affects you. Yeah, because you're in the same boat together. Okay, and not only that, you can also bring in a different set of skills and another way of looking at things, which, look, no matter how good you are, there is always going to be something you're going to miss or don't think of, simply because you think in your own way. We all think in our own way. And because of that, there's always going to be something we miss, no matter how good we are. It's human nature. We can think of everything, okay? We wouldn't be human. It's just the way it is. Okay, fellas? So have a really good think about what I've said and really think about what you need. Not what you want, what you need. Okay? Because what you choose for and what you marry is what you're going to get. Like I said, if you happen to, you're really attracted to someone that's, good looks and all you thought about is good looks and not thought about anything else, well, that's all you can hope for. Just a pretty decoration. Then don't be disappointed when she cannot do anything else. Likewise, you might be attracted to such a great singer, such a great singing voice, or be able to paint really well. Like, it's all in all of us. We like being around creative people, It seems really fulfilling watching them do their craft and so forth. But how does that translate to real life? If you marry a singer, that's what you get. You can't expect her to be able to do anything else. But if all you wanted was someone to sing and be able to listen to that, someone singing every day, by all means. Or someone to paint nice artwork in their studio, that's all they do every day. You're happy with that? And you have to to do everything else, pick up the kids, cook, clean, earn the money and so forth, then fine. But don't expect her or to be disappointed she doesn't do anything else if you did not check for those traits. Likewise, a musician, all they'll be doing is in their hole, doing all their music, practicing and all that, and maybe going out touring. Then don't be disappointed when they don't do anything else if you did not check for those traits, because what you marry is what you get. Okay? You don't try to say you change people or that. Anything that needs an additional skill, like you can put through, but it's the attitude and the traits of being unselfish and being a team player and being right attitudes towards money, that cannot be learnt, okay, or changed. It's within that person. And those are the important qualities and you must choose for them. All right? So what do you think? Let me know by thoughts by posting on my Facebook page. You can just search for Miss Dragonfly and leave the comments on the page. And let me know if you agree with me, and if not, why you don't agree. And also maybe share with us your experiences, and we can also make a few comments there. And if there's anything that you'd like me to cover, any topic matter, then feel free to leave that there as well. And if I'm able to, then I will cover those topics. Well, that's it for the show today. Apologies about my voice. I'm still recovering from a cold. So that's my voice will be like this. Well, that's why my voice is like this. But I should be fine and back to my normal voice in my next show. So make sure you catch me at the same time again next week. And so until then, it's bye for now.